That is pretty original.
Okay, I got the sentry that wasn't.
Get her. Get her. Oh, he was trying to go for you and move back to me at the last second.
Hey guys, Time Itself here. A couple weeks ago, a little video series you may have heard of over at Penny Arcade called Extra Credits did a video on counterplay, and it got me thinking about how I would apply those concepts to score streaks or kill streaks in Call of Duty. I expect they'll be thinking about things like this as they're designing the kill streaks for the next Call of Duty game. So what is counterplay? It's the idea that something should be enjoyable for both the player who gets to use it and the player it gets used on. Makes for a richer multiplayer experience. So let's talk about some examples. The first little clip there I gave was a Predator, and you can hear the call-outs and it's saying, scatter, scatter. Teammates telling each other to get away from each other so that the person with the Predator doesn't manage to kill multiple people with it. It even started somewhat of an inside joke for us in Modern Warfare 2.
Here comes the Fred, scatter. Oh, John was the fatty. Spread. I'm the fatty. Oh, no.
But if you're using Predators as just a tool to kill people and not defend flags, it mostly comes down to guessing and getting lucky when you're going to have a bunch of them together, usually spawning together, and then trying to kill them. So it can be kind of luck-based, and well, dying off your spawn isn't a lot of fun. So, 5-piece, yeah. Now, Call of Duty kill streaks aren't the best at this. In general, you just want to get inside, or if you know which direction something's coming from, you can try to get up against the wall and give yourself better odds. Because, simply put, most of the kill streaks in Call of Duty that players really like tend to simply involve raining death down on your enemies from above. Just smiting them. And so things like map design become very important into the whole kill streak balance. There are lots of places to go inside. You might already be inside and it might not be a big deal. If it's hard to get inside, well then it's not a lot of fun. That was 7 kills in 7 seconds with the lodestar, which is Black Ops 2 version of the Reaper, and I think it's far inferior, although it is much more powerful. And notice it's a little bit more directly above the map. The missiles travel much faster, much more directly, and that little red dot, the enemies rarely ever see it. It's so small they usually don't notice it. But if we go back to look at the Reaper from Modern Warfare 3, you'll see you get the huge spot, players know where it is, and part of the game is to try to not let the guy see the big red spot where the missile's going to go. The missiles also move a lot slower, there's more cover on the map, so you're trying to maneuver them carefully around the map to get them to go where you need them to. You can look up at the Reaper, see the smoke trails in the sky, and know which side of the building you're likely to be safer on. Same thing kind of goes for the Hellstorm. If you get up against the side of a building, you can kind of dodge it. But things unfold so quickly that interesting dynamic of hold it together or split it apart really doesn't end up coming into play a lot. And unfortunately, what could be a very interesting kill streak becomes just kind of a fire and forget sort of thing, get it out of the way. And you have the same general idea for airstrikes. From Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2's precision airstrike, you can tell which direction that's coming in. It's immediately obvious, and you know to try to get to cover or get against a wall on the opposite side it's coming from, and maybe you'll have a chance of living. But in Black Ops 2, they went and replaced it with a lightning strike, which was just their faster, more powerful version of the mortar strike, which no one really liked or used. And the thing is that you don't get that clear indication on your minimap that it's coming in. Instead, you have to rely on that silly announcer who's usually late. I mean, he never gets the words lightning strike out until it's already on the ground, and then, it's too late. So, I don't know, it's less interesting counterplay because just, oh, whoops, I died. And, oh, whoops, I just killed all 6 members of the enemy team, 5 of them with the lightning strike. It's just never going to be well balanced. They need to bring back the notification on the minimap that something like that's coming in and give you some idea where you should be to try and take cover. The hunter killers, and the swarm especially, are even worse offenders in this regard. At least with a single hunter killer you can kind of direct it and maybe point it towards a point or a kill streak you want to try and take down. The swarm, you just call it in, and at that point you kind of want to stay inside to avoid dying to your own swarm. The enemies, well, they just hear the beeping, and otherwise, well, it's go inside or put blind eye on and stay away from your teammates who have all been too stupid to put blind eye on themselves before stepping outside, and it just involves dying off their spawn a lot. It's really not that interesting for either side that gets to do that. It just Death Rain, yeah, it looks cool, it's nice to get all the points, but as actual gameplay mechanics go, the Swarm is terrible. I'm sorry. Having a swarm up results in less interesting gameplay. I don't see any other conclusion. At least with dogs, you can kind of run with them and try to catch up. The enemies are kind of getting completely overrun. It's not quite as great for them. But again, the dogs aren't going to kill you. The dogs are going to encourage you to run around and have some fun. It seems a whole lot better than the swarm, at least. Again, a lot of the counterplay for the high air support, player-controlled stuff, is just to get inside, get under a roof, or get to where it doesn't have line of sight on you. Just because it's so powerful. Now, the other thing you can do is you can try to shoot it down, but I think a lot of the lock-on launchers are a pretty boring game mechanic. I mean, I don't know, especially bad in Battlefield 3, where you get the whole flare system regenerating. Yeah, it's a mess. But the VTOL, well, it's at least a little more interesting because shooting RPGs at it is an option. It's big enough for that to be a thing. It kind of harkens back to COD 4, where your options were RPGs or bullets for helicopters. None of this lock-on launcher stuff that they need in order to deal with UAVs, counter, and then the really tiny stuff up in the sky that you have. I mean, even shooting just bullets at it is hard enough. The counterplay with a lock-on launcher is just to try to get line of sight of the killstreak before it figures out where you are. Obviously, it's not that fun, and if it misses, you're like, oh, what was I supposed to do differently? Its stupid launcher didn't do its thing. It's not my fault. You got the air support killing people as they spawn, just shoot the red triangles. Yeah, it's really empowering, but you realize in the end you're just killing people off of their spawn who can't really do anything. I don't know, it's just not the most interesting thing. And finally, Modern Warfare 2 had the most uninteresting counterplay for a killstreak you could possibly come up with. That's the nuke. What other thing are you gonna say? Like, oh, guys, we can't play the game anymore. Sorry. I mean, like, people don't even want to call in their own nukes because they're not fun to use. Yeah, you earned it, you won the game, but if you don't want to use it because it's not fun, because it doesn't. Thankfully, they've taken that out. They figured it out, but game-ending stuff, where counterplay is no longer an option, isn't really fun. It's just kind of goofy, like this 2-minute nuke or something that I got. Yeah, that was Modern Warfare 2. How I loved you, but what a mess. What a mess.
There's a sentry shooting me.
Predator missile incoming.
It's not. That should scare you.
Friendly Harriers incoming.
Alright, so let's talk about some defensive or area control score streaks. Things like the sentry gun, the IMS, or the Guardian. And in general, these things need to be incredibly powerful because they have a very limited area of effect. The IMS, if you hear it go off, you're probably going to die. Maybe not to the IMS, maybe to something else, but unless you were already headed around a corner, you're not getting away from that thing in all likelihood. It comes down to luck. But if it was very unreliable or too easy to get away from, like, say, a Bouncing Betty, then people wouldn't use them in the first place, or they just get spammed around the map everywhere because they'd be so cheap, and it really wouldn't be that interesting. Now, counterplay for that defensive stuff like sentry guns and guardians, and kind of IMSs, can be interesting once you know it's there. Until you do, it's kind of like walking into a trap. And it's just about as interesting as well trying to shoot down helicopters when you can barely see them and instead rely on the tone from your lock-on launcher in order to shoot the thing down. Oftentimes it comes down to just how you're going to try and get around those defenses. That very first clip I showed against the sentry gun, I had to climb up on that van out in the middle of the map, but it let me get behind the sentry and knife it. Problem solved. You got something like the IMS, unless you're close enough to activate it, you can just shoot it until it's gone, no problem. You could switch to a class with a perk so that it wouldn't detect you, and then you could just stand there and unload into it. That's not the greatest. You could have a friend with a riot shield distract it. That's pretty cool. Against the IMS, once you know it's there, you can get an angle on it and shoot it from far enough away that it won't be able to go off and kill you. Or in Modern Warfare 3, you could stun the sentries for a couple seconds, get past them, and then do something about it. Just stuff so that it's not an ultimate defense, but it can help out the defenders. Now, of course, just about anything becomes ridiculous once you get too many of them, and yeah, that's kind of weird. So Black Ops 2 did this thing where there's just one simple answer to especially the Guardians and Sentries. Just if you can get an EMP grenade there or anywhere close, the effect will go through a wall, and no problem. Like I said, anytime you get enough of that stuff off, it can become a little ridiculous. But one thing I'll note about the RCXD is that if you shoot it and destroy it, you get points for destroying it, but the other guy will get points towards a score streak for killing you with it. I think that's messed up. That shouldn't be that way. Another cool score streak is the emergency airdrop, because suddenly you've got this new place on the map, a player-created area, where suddenly now people want to be to try and claim those care packages. They went all out with this with Drop Zone in Modern Warfare 3, but they had the same idea with the Osprey that would come in with the AI-controlled gun. It's like, oh, now we've got this new place on the map to fight on. This is interesting, and the defenders get to choose where it is, but the attackers, you know, a lot of times your teammates are like, oh, you're going to claim all the care packages now. We don't want to help you. Well, that's just another interesting dynamic. Alright, I could keep talking about all the different Call of Duty kill streak rewards and score streak rewards, but I think you guys get the idea. It shouldn't be fun just for the people who get to use it. It should be fun for the players who get used on. I mean, yeah, they're probably going to die. They're at a disadvantage, right? That's the point. But it should be interesting. You know, you got the difference between lodestar versus Reaper. I'll take the Reaper every day. It's more interesting for everyone involved. So, I hope they take this kind of thing to mind when they're making the new Call of Duty game. I think there's an announcement due out shortly, but that's one of the things that I really look forward to seeing. Well, guys, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I got you thinking about something interesting, and I will see you next time.